Good evening. Pursuant of ARS 38-431.01 and 38-431.02, notice is hereby given to the general public and the members of the governing board that the governing board of Alhambra Elementary School District number 68 will hold a governing board public hearing, which is open to the public at Choice Learning Academy in the Black Box Theater, 5330 North 23rd Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona 85015. A citizen wishing to appear before the governing board must fill out a request to address form prior to the beginning of the board meeting. The completed form must be presented to the governing board executive assistant prior to the call to the order. Requests to address are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless governing board president determines that a shorter time is necessary to expedite an orderly meeting. Please refer to policy BEDH. A, public hearing notice. A, call to order. A2, Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. We will now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Go ahead and do A3, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion that the governing board adopt the meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Meeting adopted. B, public hearing. B1, notice of public meetings to discuss possible school closures and potential boundary changes, restructure, ARS 15-341A32. This is the second of 2 required public meetings for the governing board to hear public comment on the proposed Alhambra Elementary School District closures, ARS 15-34132, and potential boundary changes or restructure. Arizona law requires 2 public hearings. The first public hearing was held at the prior board meeting on January 22nd, 2026, and included information of the proposed Valencia newcomer school closure at the completion of the school year 2025-2026, as well as the closure repurpose proposal for the Choice Learning Academy at the completion of the current school year. Members of the Alhambra Elementary School District administrative team will be available to answer board members' questions. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. And we will first hear from Dr. Maez and Ms. Bilyeu.
Thank you, President Navarez, Governing Board. Welcome, everyone. This evening, we are presenting to you our theme again, that we are united in purpose as we are building a sustainable path forward for Alhambra. You're going to hear us repeat a few of the facts that we want to make sure everyone remembers are at the forefront of, or just our current reality right now. So knowing that the potential of the closure of Valencia, one of the first things I want everyone to keep in mind is that in Alhambra, this has been a very different year for us. In 2023, 2024, we were very proud of the fact that Alhambra had 354 newcomers in our district that diversified and made our district beautiful. Again, 354. We know that we saw a drastic change last school year of only 198. So we knew this year would be a little different, seeing that dropped by much more than 100 students. And this year we had 2 newcomer students, just 2. Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. And so as far as a newcomer, we're talking about in our system, in our state system, we can tell when a student is new to Arizona, not coming from another school. So when a student registers in our system, and when a student comes to Alhambra and registers, we're able to look in the entire state database to see if the student has been in American schools before. And so, and through that, we're able to track how many are actually newcomers. And so again, just a reality I want to ensure that everyone understands is that as we look to see how many kids were new to Alhambra, new to the United States, and then newcomers at Valencia. So the numbers I just gave you are newcomers altogether, just so that we understand the reality in Alhambra right now. So from 354 to 2 this year. And then how that affected Alhambra's overall enrollment from the last hearing to this hearing, we've continued to talk about the fact that we have lost an average of about 100 students a year for the last few years. But this year, we were, again, you heard the newcomer numbers and how that affected our overall enrollment. We lost nearly 500 students in 1 year alone. So that's when we talk about how building a sustainable path forward. These are facts, these are numbers that are relevant and that are real in Alhambra that we have to consider as we continue to think about the reality and how we're going to ensure stability for the Alhambra School District. As we've shared about the work that we're doing and how students are at the center of every decision that we make, we've shared the drivers for the action that we've taken. And this evening, I'd like to emphasize and focus in on 2 particular drivers. The first being financial stewardship. As I shared with you, if you think about Alhambra in 1 school year losing 500 kids, remember our budget is based on per child we get funded from the state, and each child brings in, if you take a look at all the different funds that Alhambra gets and add them all up per student, we get a little more than $12,000 per student. And so when you take a look at the fact that we are less 500 students this year, in 1 school year alone, you're talking about if you multiply 500 times 12,000, we're talking about $6 million that we were, if you think about what we were expecting from the state, that's a $6 million difference from last school year. That's a large amount of funding. And if you think about the fact that if you considered, if we try to staff our classrooms at 25 students in a classroom, if you think, okay, well then as a district, we need 25 less teachers. Well, we're only talking about 2 million maybe less to the district budget out of the 6 million. So we have to look at other ways that will make up that deficit in our budget. Again, so I want us to think about, again, as a district, our financial stewardship and how we're ensuring we're keeping students at the forefront to ensure that they are not impacted by the decline in our enrollment. The other area, as we've been thinking about how we are going to resolve this budget deficit, our students and our families are at the forefront. And as I've tried to communicate, we have been persistent in connecting with our families and hearing from our families what it is that they desire from us, or why families are leaving. And I want to share a few examples from most recently that from conversations I've had with our families. So just the other night here, Tuesday, there was a basketball game, and I took advantage of that opportunity and connected with families there. And families once again shared how they love both CLA and Westwood, but how it is a challenge to get their kids to both schools. In addition to that being a challenge, they mentioned when they're dependent on transportation, which a number of our families are, that it's challenging for our families because you have 2 different bus stops. So a family of kids has 1 bus stop for their kids going to CLA, 1 bus stop for their kids going to Westwood. And they mentioned how sometimes those bus stops are very different. And so a parent who's trying to get to work in the morning, and if you're waiting for 2 different schools, 2 different bus stops, that can be a great challenge. And so what one particular parent was saying, and actually a group of them have consistently said that, is it would be much easier for us if our children could go to 1 school and we had 1 bus stop. Another example of families that have shared that they would like for us to consider the K-8 experience. I know Principal Stevenson is in the audience, and she and her office team had reached out because they were concerned a couple of weeks ago on one day where multiple families had withdrawn from Westwood, citing specifically they were withdrawing because a neighboring charter school had knocked on their door and communicated that that reminding them that Westwood only goes to 4th grade. And if they wanted their children to experience a K-8 where their children could be at one school for their entire K-8 experience, that they should come on over to that particular charter school for that experience. And again, because a lot of our families are seeking that consistency and continuity for their children, that they withdrew. And I was very grateful that our administrators at Westwood reached out to the families and let them know that we have been hearing these concerns and even watching the trends in our enrollment and understand that that was something our families are asking for. And so Principal Stevenson shared with them that our governing board is going to make a big decision tonight. And it could, all depending on that decision, it could give them their desire of having a K-8 for their children there at Westwood. And the families said, well, we will wait for the board meeting and see what the board decides. And if they decide that, then we'll come back. And that's, again, just one anecdotal story from one day in the last couple of weeks and I can share many more. I know Ms. Bunch is Ms. Bunch out there? And I know even just we were at the basketball game the other night, and there was a student there whose family withdrew for a charter for the same reason. And Ms. Bunch, I appreciate you sharing with the student. Don't forget to watch the board meeting this evening to see pending that decision. So her family will bring her back and the family of children back. And so again, we have connected and communicated with our families throughout this process so that when we're making a recommendation like this, that we know is considering our financial stewardship, it's listening to our families and responding to what they're asking for. And then, so that's specific to CLA. And then as I shared with our newcomers, we have only had 2, and they came at the beginning of the school year. And so as a district, wanting to ensure that our funds are focused on meeting the needs of our community have changed. Sadly, very sadly, the needs of our community have changed.
Thank you. At the January 22nd hearing, we heard strong concern about Valencia and its importance to newcomer families. We want to acknowledge that impact and honor the role that Valencia has played for students, families, and staff. The recommendation reflects an extended process that included study sessions, listening sessions, and public hearings. The feedback shared through that process informed both the analysis and the planning being presented. This evening, we will outline how essential newcomer supports will continue, including coordination with community partners, so students and families experience continuity rather than disruption. We will also describe the phased implementation and transition planning, particularly related to the CLA and Westwood consolidation, and what students and families can expect during that period. We will provide clarity on facility next steps, timelines, and financial implications, including how recurring savings support long-term sustainability and the preservation of student programs. We will also outline how progress will be monitored and how updates will be shared with the board, staff, families, and community. Throughout the process, the district engaged staff, families, and the broader community through study sessions, listening sessions, and public meetings and board discussions. These opportunities occurred over several months and at multiple points in time, asking or allowing for questions, dialogue, and feedback as information was reviewed and options were considered. What was shared through that engagement, alongside the reality of declining enrollment, financial implications, and long-term sustainability considerations, informed the recommendations previously presented by administration, which will be considered by the board later this evening. If the board approves administration's recommendation, this slide reflects where the work stands today and how it moves forward. To date, the district has completed a facilities review focused on whether the Westwood campus can support the pre-K model. That review included instructional space needs, outdoor extracurricular use, campus flow, and practical considerations like parking and traffic. Where gaps were identified, particularly related to middle school instructional needs, we have begun planning appropriate facility modifications. That work includes engaging contractors, assessing feasibility, and sequencing the work so it aligns with the transition timeline. At this stage, the emphasis is on readiness and alignment, assuring that the campus can support students and staff safely and effectively, while allowing detailed design and final decisions to occur following the board action. Implementation would move forward in a coordinated and phased manner. The focus is on clarity and alignment, ensuring staff, students, and families understand what happens next and when. This begins with coordinated staff communication, including shared messaging and joint meetings, so teams are aligned and expectations are clear. A representative Westwood CLA merge team would support transition leadership, help guide planning, maintain instructional continuity, and inform decisions related to school identity and culture. At the same time, student supports and instructional services would continue without interruption, while facilities and campus readiness work progresses in alignment with the transition timeline. Throughout the process, families would continue to receive ongoing communication so they have clear, timely information as the transition moves forward. We heard at the January 22nd public hearing how important Valencia has been for our families and how critical it has been, or how critical it is to be intentional and transparent about newcomer supports moving forward. Valencia was intentionally designed as a one-year program for true newcomer students, those with no prior experience in an American school. Valencia enrollment is projected to reach 0 by mid-March, and for the 2025-2026 school year, as Dr. Myers shared, only 2 Valencia students met the program's eligibility criteria as a true newcomer. That context matters because it allows us to plan supports around current student needs and ensure services are delivered where our students are enrolled. It is important to be clear that approval does not mean the loss of support for newcomer students. The essential services previously provided through Valencia would remain in place with intentional planning to ensure stability for students and families. That planning includes early coordination with community partners, including RISE and Abounding Service, so ongoing supports remain connected and transitions are smooth. The focus is maintaining the support students need while aligning services to current enrollment realities. A key concern has been how the district will preserve and extend the spirit of Valencia, particularly the strong partnerships that have supported our Valencia students and families. The intent is not to lose this work, but to expand it district-wide, anchored through the Family Resource Center and targeted school sites. Several Valencia-connected partners have already committed to continuing and broadening their work across Alhambra, including the Arizona Diamondbacks Give Back Partnership, who provides community events and clothing closets, Urban Farming Education, who support no-cost gardening or garden programming, RISE Tutoring, who supports summer and targeted academic supports on campus for students, Abounding Service, who help with ongoing newcomer family supports, and Girl Scouts of America, who provide leadership development for our students. Our work with the resettlement agencies will also continue if newcomers enroll the next school year. Structural alignment is necessary to preserve long-term financial stability. Without consolidation and closure, approximately 1.4 million in recurring annual capacity remains unavailable. Under the current structure, this limits the district's ability to consider compensation increases. Declining enrollment and reductions in state and federal funding are reducing recurring revenue, while fixed costs, particularly healthcare and benefits, continue to increase. This timeline reflects the sequencing following tonight's action. Immediately, there will be clear communication to staff and families, sharing an update regarding tonight's board decision. If approved, the spring and summer months will focus on planning and readiness, facilities preparation, staffing and scheduling alignment, and ongoing communication so the transition is orderly and well supported. By fall 2026, the consolidated campus would open, identified programs would begin operating in the vacated CLA facility, and GAP would begin using the portion of the former Valencia campus in alignment with their enrollment. Based on the analysis shared, the engagement conducted, and the fiscal realities facing the district, administration is recommending approval of the consolidation and closure actions as presented. These recommendations are intended to address declining enrollment, align facilities and staffing to current and projected needs, and preserve the district's ability to support students and staff over the long term. The board will now open the meeting for public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Bilyeu and Dr. Mayes for your presentation. We will now move forward to this public comment section. C1, public comment. Alhambra Elementary School District welcomes all public participation. However, individuals addressing the board are discouraged from making personal attacks upon board members, staff, or other persons, whether present or absent. Presenters are cautioned that statements or representations concerning others that convey an unjust or unfavorable impression may be subject to the presenter to civil action for defamation. A request to address board form must be completed in its entirety and given to the board executive assistant or emailed no later than 10 minutes prior to the beginning of the meeting. Per policy BE-DH, public participation at governing board meetings, unless otherwise specified by the board president, public comment will be limited to up to 3 minutes, depending on the number of individuals who have submitted a request to address board form via email or in person, and we'll be doing 3 minutes. Requests to address are limited to the maximum of 3 minutes unless the governing board president determines that a shorter time is necessary to expedite an orderly meeting. Please refer to policy BE-DH. Members of the governing board may not discuss items that are not on the agenda. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or scheduling the matter for further considerations and decision at a later date. Normally, public comment concerning a specific agenda item will be heard at the time the item is addressed by the governing board. We will have our first speaker, Amanda Brooks Taylor.
Good evening, President Navarez, governing board members, and Dr. Mayes. My name is Amanda Brooks Taylor. I am an 8th grade teacher here at CLA. And first, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts. I know the decisions before you are complex and difficult, especially as many districts across Arizona are facing declining enrollment and the significant financial impact that comes with it. I recognize the weight of these choices and appreciate the time and care that go into them. I understand that enrollment and funding are critical considerations for the district. I am hopeful that with the addition of the new student recruitment role, we will begin to see an increase in enrollment across Alhambra. CLA, like many of our Alhambra schools, have strong academic programs, extracurricular opportunities such as MESA, NJHS, and STUCO, and a dedicated staff committed to student growth. With intentional outreach and visibility, I believe our successes can attract and retain more families. I also understand that many parents prefer a K-8 model for convenience. However, I believe there are strategic opportunities such as investing in facilities and continuing to build on our academic momentum at CLA. My hope is that enrollment grows to the point where Alhambra not only stabilizes, but will require full staffs at both campuses to accommodate increasing student numbers. That would be a powerful reflection of our district's resilience and commitment to growth. My other main reason for wanting to speak today is to honor the collective work our students, staff, and community. Our recent school letter grade of B has brought our staff and students great pride as it reflects our commitment to excellence and demonstrates the progress CLA continues to make. It is a milestone that deserves recognition, celebration, and should be an integral piece of our upcoming marketing and recruitment efforts. Thank you again for allowing me to share these thoughts. I deeply appreciate the work you do on behalf of our students, staff, and community.
Thank you, Amanda Brooks Taylor. Next, we'll have Wilmarie Maldonado Castro.
Hello. Buenas noches, Presidente Nevares, Superintendente, Doctora Mayes y miembros de la Junta Directiva. Soy Wilmarie Maldonado Castro, soy mamá, la esposa de un veterano de la Marina de los Estados Unidos, maestra certificada, la dueña de mi propio negocio y alguien que vive en nuestra comunidad por Sevilla Elementary. Aprecio la dedicación que cada uno de ustedes tienen para los estudiantes que atiendan y su compromiso de apoyar a la infancia en su totalidad. Es evidente su compromiso con sus estudiantes. Me intriga cómo se puede fortalecer la relación entre nuestros estudiantes y familias con nuestras escuelas. Con la posibilidad de cerrar 2 escuelas esta noche, debido a la baja matrícula estudiantil, me gustaría que todos consideraran lo siguiente: cambios en el transporte para brindar un mejor servicio a los estudiantes de todo el distrito y opciones de traducción a los idiomas más hablados en nuestro distrito. Para las reuniones de la Junta, los anuncios, las redes sociales, las juntas como esta, para que puedan entender lo que está pasando, entender que pueden decir algo, que pueden comentar. La declaración de visión de Alhambra Elementary School District indica: nuestro éxito se medirá por estudiantes que progresen con desarrollo creativo, conciencia internacional y preparación académica para cumplir con las exigencias de la preparatoria y más allá. En nuestra última audiencia pública sobre el cierre de escuelas, escuchamos a orgullosos exalumnos de Valencia que ahora están estudiando en Brophy, están estudiando en ASU. Eso sí que demuestra el éxito de Valencia. También, como dijeron, podemos ir tocando en las puertas. Podemos dar entrevistas que están en español. Quiero preguntar cuántas de las juntas que dieron a las familias estaban en español. If I have time, can I translate in English or how does it work?
10 seconds. You have 10 seconds left.
So it's not extra time to translate?
It's just a public comment.
Thank you.
Did you want me to do that in English, Cousin?
Thank you. Well, that's the. Yeah.
Did you want me to go ahead and go? It says, my name is Wilmarie Maldonado Castro, and I am the mother, proud wife of a Marine Corps veteran, a certified educator, a small business owner, and proud community member. My family lives in Sevilla Elementary. I appreciate each of your dedication to your students and commitment, your role with the whole child. It is clear that you are invested in your students. I am curious of how a stronger relationship can be formed between the students, families, and our schools. With talks of 2 school closures tonight because of low student enrollment, I would like you all to consider the following. Consider transportation changes to better serve students throughout the district, translation options for the community with the most for the most commonly spoken languages within your student body for the district. Also, board meetings, announcements, social media. AESD's vision statement indicates our measure of success will be students who advance with creative development, awareness and academic preparation to meet the demands of high school and beyond. Our last public hearing on school closures was heard from proud alumni of Valencia who are now at Brophy, ASU, and more. That is a testament to the success of Valencia. And then on the back, it says, I know we can do more. We can go knocking on doors and transportation, have family communication, and finding about translations and virtual learning options are like in Phoenix.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more. This one was submitted online. Board President, members of the board, and Dr. Maez, Ms. Lucero, and Alhambra community. I had hoped to be standing here in front of the beautiful auditorium of Choice Learning Academy. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend. I remember the first tour that was followed by a board meeting when CLA was completed. Dr. Maez was an administrator in the neighboring school district, but was in attendance that night. I absolutely love that she was part of that beginning. I remember going into the dance studio and the little girl in me had big eyes and wished so badly I could dance. I wonder how many other students feel the same way about that room, the music rooms, science labs, etc. Choice Learning Academy was created to be a specialty school such as GAP and traditional that could compete with charter schools while allowing for district choice along with attracting families from outside the district. I think we all know it did not live up to its potential. That does not mean that it doesn't have potential. On the contrary, it has quite the potential. I'm imploring you to take time and recognize CLA to reach the fullest capacity of what this building has to offer, not only for our students, but all students who are drawn to arts and science programs. The building is already here. Now we need to involve all stakeholders and start the process of collecting the data needed to form the necessary committees to be ready to reopen CLA as the specialty school as it aspired to be. As Alhambra strives to teach the whole child, Choice offers an opportunity to continue to grow that goal. Kathleen O'Neill, France. All right, that is the end of public comment. We will be moving to D. Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. Yes. Before we move on, board, this is our time to ask any questions.
President Navarez.
Just
This question is for Ms. Bilyeu. Ms. Bilyeu, you had mentioned that there are other costs such as healthcare costs that have increased. Can you please talk to us a little bit about healthcare costs or any other costs in particular that the district needs to take into consideration when making these decisions?
Thank you. President Navarez, members of the board, and Dr. Maez. Currently, our current quote for healthcare next year is over $1 million increase to the district. Another offhand, I can get you more data, but offhand, one thing I also know that has increased almost 3 times what we expected last year is a cost for water. So these are fixed expenses that we can control. I mean, we need healthcare, we need water, and it's not like we can sell another cheeseburger to make more money for those things. But those are 2 examples. If the board would like additional examples, my team and I can work on that.
Thank you, Ms. Bilyeu. One follow-up question is that in terms of the different numbers that Dr. Maez had mentioned, it is about $6 million less because of the 500 students. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in the presentation on financial implications and stewardship, it said that there would be about 1.4 million in recurring capacity that remained. How much of a gap is that between the declining enrollment of the overall district and also the addition to these savings?
Well, because we do receive percentage increases from the state each year, you get additional 2%. The gap is smaller than it sounds. We also have done a very good job strategically in using our reserves and savings that as we've shared over the years. So the gap is less than the $6 million. It's just we don't have reserves to rely on anymore. Our goal in Alhambra was to take care of the people and the programs and the students. And so we were very wise in using our one-time funding to basically slowly land the plane. So while we are not facing a fiscal cliff, if we do not change our behavior in alignment with declining funding, we will approach that cliff very quickly, especially with the rising costs.
And my last and final question would be, can you talk to us a little bit about the additional savings that the district may have when we have, for example, two administrative offices now having one, two cafeteria staff now having one, and also the implications that that would have on the transportation? Would there be any savings there?
So currently, if we can picture the area, I'll start with transportation, but the area that Westwood and CLA serves is the same area. The highest concentration of students live in the Westwood area. The amount of students that live in the CLA area warrants about 5 buses going from CLA to Westwood. If we went the opposite direction, we would have 11 buses transporting Westwood students to CLA. So just by nature of consolidation, we're already reducing the number of buses. I don't know how many buses offhand are currently running, but there will be less because our kids the concentration of kids live in the Westwood area. And majority of them are walkers. We have about 300. I had that picture up yesterday, but we have about 300 that live north. Give me one sec. It's not coming up quickly, but we have, as it relates to you said, the consolidation as far as like the staffing piece. While I don't have hard numbers in front of me, you're talking one less principal. An entire custodial team is less, one office team. So we're talking significant, and the combination of savings that you see in both of the closure of Valencia and the consolidation of Westwood, that is all staff and a little bit of operating funds, because we're repurposing, the goal is to repurpose this facility and also allow for GAP to expand into Valencia. So you have minimal savings as it relates to operational, and the majority of the 1.4 recurring savings is due to staff overlap that you won't need. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. De Ocampo?
Mandy, you quoted a dollar amount of $12,000 per student. And tell me what funds that incorporates, because the state doesn't give us $12,000.
No, they
Just
do
to
not.
be clear, folks.
Yes.
So when you say that, you're talking about what other funding?
We're talking about the major funds that support school district operations in a district like ours that is a high poverty district. We get quite a bit of title funding. So the number that Dr. Myers was referring to are the large portions, the large amounts that we get. So Title I, Title II.
And those are that's federal money.
That's federal, and then the state dollars.
And what do you estimate the state provides?
It's around 9,000 per student is what
I
we
didn't even think
typically
it was that
calculate.
high. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's on average because you have weighted students.
Oh, yeah, the weighted count, right. Thank you.
Yeah, question regarding the options in front of us. Can you walk through the plan of what would happen? Because this decision isn't pre-baked, nothing's pre-baked, and it's still in the hands of the board to make choice. Can you walk through what would happen if the choice was to keep the campuses open?
So if we choose to keep the campus open, we are looking at that you have the money that the district receive is spread across all the students in the district. So you would be looking at higher class sizes. You would be looking at less teachers because we have to save money somewhere. So you'd be looking at higher class sizes. You'd be looking at the potential of passing on the healthcare increases to staff. So they have not seen an increase in healthcare costs because the district has been absorbing those costs for several years. So you would be seeing more children in the classroom and potentially less money in our teachers' pockets.
I think we'd end up having to go back to the drawing board, you know, as far as looking, I wanted to cite the specific, you were asking the exact deficit that we were looking at, and the number we've been trying to hit that this 1.4 million helps us out with is $4,776,793.50. So that's the budget shortfall. And so we went through and have, you know, whether it's, okay, if we have taking a look at the target of 25 kids in a classroom, how many less classroom teachers? Okay, that'll help us out about, you know, if we have reduced by 27 teachers, that'll help us out around $2 million. So item by item we went through. And so it would take 1.4 million off the plate, and we'd have to look and see. And like Ms. Bill, you said, the fact is this classroom, we're trying to keep classroom size. You know, most of our funds go to teacher salaries. And so, and even programming, like one of the areas where we've allowed for a little more flexibility with our staff is special area. So right now our schools have a little bit more special area teachers than the funding formula typically in previous years that we've used would allow. And so this year we really had, for next school year, we really had to tighten up and look at the formulas and give very specific to the formula so that we could reduce it, but yet still provide high quality. But if we're talking about now having to find 1.4 million, again, we have these other deficits. Plus then we're looking at programming, you know, so would we take a look at special area differently or whole child, you know, just programming there that we'd have to take a look at. So
I think it's also important to note that we also have not frozen anyone on the salary schedule in a very, very, very long time. And step increases alone, just for context, for our staff, because raises are built into our system. For our staff to move steps, it costs almost $1 million, $982,000. To provide a 1% increase, it costs $1.8 million. So I think those things are things we keep in consideration as we're looking over the long term.
And then to follow up, if that choice were made, you know, I think I've mentioned, I think I've never mentioned it for public record, but this is going to be my last year serving on the governing board. These decisions will have implications that will outrun my service here at the district. If the board were to vote to keep these things open, how much longer until the new board, whomever happens to be serving, would be in the same exact position? Or is that the likely scenario? Is that the can is being kicked down the road, and that not if we were to vote in that manner, that a future board would be in the same exact position?
that's exactly correct. You know, this evening, I just shared numbers about this particular school year, and then newcomers. I wanted us to also understand how newcomers make up a big difference, you know, after just knowing that we saw that significant decline and how that impacted our district. But if you take a look at the last, even just the 5 years that I've been with the district, we have over 1,000 less students in just the last 5 years. And when you take a look at other school districts that have not addressed the fact that the schools are declining in a timely manner, you see that it has impacted teacher pay. I appreciate Mrs. Bill, you sharing how, again, we've continued to move teachers. Every year, teachers have received an increase through moving in the salary schedule. There are surrounding districts that have not had that. And so every year we've been able to benefit from that multiple teachers from neighboring districts will apply to our district and receive significant pay increases working for Alhambra. Alhambra has been able to maintain a very competitive pay in all of our salaries. And so that's something, again, we've only been able to do because of our good financial stewardship. So yes, exactly like this. So I share with you that we'd have to look and see how it would impact us this year. But the fact is just with the trend, knowing in the last 5 years, we've lost over 1,000 kids. Next year, we don't know what to predict based on the fact that we did receive newcomers before, and now we aren't receiving them. And so we don't know if we'll have the average of 2% that we were having, or if it'll be 6% again, like it was this year. And so those are considerations that we have to take that we have to think about.
Yeah, thank you for that. One last question, just a point of clarification more than anything, for the public. The vote for this isn't happening at the conclusion of this exact item. It is happening as a part of the agenda of the next meeting item. I just wanted to say that out loud, and if y'all can reiterate that's exactly when that will happen, so the public knows when the board will be making that decision.
That is correct. This is an opportunity for questions for our public hearing. And yes, during our meeting at 6 o'clock, that is one of the agenda items for the board to take action on. And that's where the decision will be made.
Real quick, just to relate or have a question related to Mr. Solorio's question, and that is, if we were to not close the school, or let's say close Choice Learning Academy, could you highlight or could you summarize kind of what the school went through for the microburst that happened earlier in the school year, and what it would take to fix the damage that occurred on the facilities during that time?
I don't know that that's really a consideration. So because insurance is covering that and it's under repair right now. And so that really isn't a factor. I think a bigger factor, and I know the governing board has a big decision to make it during our next meeting at 6 o'clock. And there are families, I see children in the room and parents in the room. And so, and so I hope that in between that you'll be able to connect. And the one thing I know is that what's been top of mind for me is that our numbers have been clear, that families have been leaving, and they've been pursuing that K-8 model. And one of the things that we did consider was how to, could we make both schools a K-8? And the fact is we don't have that many kids that live on this side of Camelback. And so, and we do, if the board will approve the closure, we could, again, we're going to take a look and see what the future holds for Alhambra. We do have a director of recruitment now that will help us, and we have big plans there and are looking forward to seeing the impact of that position. And at the same time, we could look at how to reimagine this space. And so those are options that we have, but we can only begin problem solving that once we know the outcome this evening.
President Navarez. Ms. Bilyeu, could you please walk us through a timeline of this campus in particular, a little bit of historical timeline, prior to the pandemic, when it changed to CLA, when we changed it to a 5-8, and can you give us, the public, the timeline of the different changes that this campus has seen, and also with the renovations?
That question requires a lot of preparation. I'll do my best and I'll ask my team to fill in. But previous to it being Choice Learning Academy, it was Simpson, still a middle school, and a typical neighborhood middle school. It was experiencing declining enrollment at that time, and the district felt that it was due to the perception of Simpson, is my recollection. So the administration invested significant dollars in renovating the facility. This used to be the multipurpose room. This was something else. We had the dance studio installed. Many of the classrooms were renovated, and staff were trained on a project-based learning type model and hired to support that particular model. So that model was in place under different leadership, and it just, then we had pandemic, online learning, things, the model just did not stick or resonate well with students at that time. I think we were hoping it was under a, if you build it, they will come kind of model. And what we've learned is it really needs to start with the staff. You build what is needed, and then they ask for the renovations. But significant investment was spent on this, and so it is a nice facility. There's movable walls in between each room. There's spaces for innovation. There's the dance studio. There's this space. The extracurricular space did not receive the same level of investment. It looks the same as when it was Simpson. Am I missing? They also had a significantly lower grade under the leadership of Miss Bunch. The academics have increased significantly, and they are a B for the first time in bazillion years. Yes. Yes, in over a decade.
And one additional thing is we moved fifth grade from Westwood over to Choice Learning Academy
We
recently.
did. Fifth grade has bounced back and forth a bit. So, I mean, there was a point where Westwood was K4, then it became K5, and then it became K4. So fifth grade has bounced around a bit in this community.
Thank you, Ms. Bilyeu. The reason why I asked that question is because this campus has a history of investment, reinvestment, and it also, it sounds like a comeback story, right? With going all the way from pre-pandemic levels to now, and to be a B school, that is a comeback story. And I think that the entire CLA team, and the parents and the families and the community should be proud of that. And I just want to say that the unfortunate part is that the enrollment, right? And there is a charter school nearby that has seen increases in their enrollment. And we can see a direct correlation between the two. And so it is unfortunate that we are here in this space where we have low enrollment and we have to make the decision because of higher costs. But regardless of what the governing board does tonight, I want everyone to understand that this is a comeback story for CLA. Unfortunately, it's not the ending or the beginning or the story that we may want to read. But I have hope that this community will remain united in excellence, and that whatever happens, that we will do it together, and that'll make sure that nobody's left behind. Thank you.
Any other board member have any questions? Hearing none. Move to D, public hearing closing. D1, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Thank you, Mrs. Florio. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. A, meeting opening. A1, call to order. A2, pledge of allegiance and moment of silence. We will now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. A3, adoption of the agenda. Are there any consent agenda items that a board member would like to have discussed as an action item? Hearing none, do I have a motion that the governing board adopt the meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adopted. Moving to A4, election of 2026 governing board officers. Election of the president and vice president for 2026. The governing board shall elect from among the membership of the board a president. The new president of the board shall take office upon election. The board shall then elect vice president. The officer of the board shall hold office for a term of 1 year and until their successors are elected. We will begin with the nomination for president of the board.
Mr. President,
I will call for a nomination and then ask for other nominations. Ms. De Ocampo? Oh, you're fine.
I would like to nominate you, Mr. Navarez, for president.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. I accept the nomination. Are there any other nominations for president for our board? Hearing none, may I please have a motion to close nominations for the board president? Yes, Mr. Cortez.
I move that we close nominations.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Conchas.
I move that the governing board elect board member Matthew Navarez as president for this term.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. I believe it's a roll call vote or yes. So,
Mr. Solorio,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo, Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Mr. Navarez. Motion passes.
thank you. Thank you. Just want to say a few words real quick. As I offer myself to serve as the board president, I wanted to reintroduce who I am and why I'm here. I'm the son of a single mother who sacrificed everything to raise my siblings and me to be kind, thoughtful, and hardworking. We grew up surrounded by gun violence, drugs, and instability. We lived in public housing apartments until I was a junior in high school. And through all of that, school was my anchor. School welcomed me when my mom enrolled me late into kindergarten and provided uniforms, backpacks, and stability when we needed it most. School opened my world through field trips and after-school programs, and school gave me a space to feel safe when home didn't always feel that way. It's why, after earning my master's degree, I went back to my elementary school to thank the teachers who shaped my life. It's why I enjoy spending time with our parent volunteer coordinators, because people in those roles once looked out for my own family. It's why I believe so deeply in safe, welcoming campuses and a high-quality education for every child. I struggled with reading comprehension growing up. I did not test well, and now I read contracts and policies that guide this district. These experiences shape my priorities: high-quality education, safe and welcoming schools, whole child learning experiences. We achieve this by supporting competitive wages for staff, planning responsibly, physically for the long term, and securing grant funding opportunities to ensure that we have access to programs like preschool, Head Start, after-school programs, field trips, and extracurricular opportunities that will expand their world. Together, we will teach and lead like our students deserve the very best, because they do. I aim to lead by listening, collaborating, and approaching this work with transparency and heart. My lived experience and my service on this board has prepared me to help guide us through this moment. I am grateful for each board member's dedication. Your strengths and perspectives give me confidence in our shared commitment to Alhambra's children. As your president, I look forward to working closely with each of you to build the future our students deserve. I ask for your support in moving forward. Thank you. We will now move on to the presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, you are. I'm on the wrong script. So my apologies. We will now move with the nominations for Vice President of the Board. I will call for a nomination and then ask if there's any nominations for Vice President for the Board before we take an official vote.
President Navarez, I'd like to nominate Lupe Conchas for the role of Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. And Mr. Conchas, do you accept?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for Vice President for our board? May I please have a motion to close nominations for Board Vice President?
I move to close nominations.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Del Campo. Roll call vote.
You have to make.
I call for a motion.
I make a motion that we have a roll call vote on the motion of electing our vice president for the 22nd school year.
And the name, sorry.
Oh, Lupe Conchas. Be nice to know who we're voting for, right?
Thank you, Ms. Del Campo. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Roll call vote.
Mr. Solorio,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Mr. Navarez. Motion passes.
Thank you. And I officially declare that Mr. Conchas has been elected Vice President of the Alhambra Elementary School District Board. Any comments?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Narvaez, and thank you to the entire Alhambra Elementary School District for your love and also for your support. Accountability for elected officials comes in a lot of different ways, and so I appreciate the opportunity for us to discuss how this board is going to move more united, and also to be able to have the opportunity to run for president and to lay out my vision for the governing board. And I'm really glad that President Navarez and I will be working together to enact that vision. And we'll be working together to establish stronger communication and making sure that our newest board member that is going to be appointed in the next few months is onboarded and feels supported as well. And thank you to my colleagues for your support, and thank you for your votes for vice president tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to B, presentation, B1, Milken Award recognition.
Good evening, Board President Nevadas, Governing Board, Dr. Mays, and the Alhambra community. We are especially proud to celebrate two outstanding staff this evening. Our first recognition is Angelica Garcia, academic coach at Westwood Elementary School, who was recognized for her exceptional work fostering achievement, growth, professional development, and lifelong learning. Ms. Garcia is Arizona's 46th recipient in Arizona of the Milken Educator Awards program. She is Arizona's only 25-26 Milken Educator Award recipient and one of 30 outstanding educators across the U.S. being honored with this award this school year. Let's give her a round of applause. Our next recognition is Kira Thomas, Educational Services Learning Specialist. She is a recipient of the Arizona Association for Gifted and Talented Distinguished Professional Award in Gifted Leadership. She was presented yesterday with this award at the Arizona Association for Gifted and Talented Conference. Through her leadership, she has designed a structure to have a gifted lead at each site and facilitated trainings. Gifted student identification has grown here in Alhambra from 65 students in 2021 to 285 students in 2025. Let's give Kira Thomas a big round of applause.
Thank you, Ms. Tamayo. Any comments from the board?
Congratulations to both of you. What an honor it is to have you in our district. And you are going to be our best recruiters. When families find out the quality of teachers that we have, they will come. Thank you both for all the hard work you do. I'm especially impressed by Milliken. That doesn't happen very often. I am doubly impressed by the increase in identified special needs students. Thank you for doing all that hard work.
Congratulations to both Ms. Garcia and Ms. Thomas. I've seen over these past 5 years you all in action at your school sites, and it's really a truly amazing sight to see. So thank you for continuing to shed your light and continuing to grow the minds of our students in Alhambra. We really appreciate you.
Excellent. Great job. Great job. Moving to C, public comment. C1, public comment. I will be calling out Wilmarie Maldonado Castro.
Good evening, President Navarez, Superintendent Dr. Mayes, and members of the governing board. My name is Wilmarie Maldonado Castro. I am a mother, the proud wife of a Marine Corps veteran, a certified educator, small business owner, and proud community member. My family lives by Sevilla Elementary. I greatly appreciate each of your dedication to your students and your commitment to the whole child. I may or may not have creeped on your entire year of school board meetings, possibly. It is clear that you are invested in your students. I am curious how a stronger relationship can be formed between our students, families, and our schools. With talks of 2 school closures tonight because of low student enrollment, I would like you all to consider the following. Consider transportation changes to better accommodate your students throughout the district. Consider translation options for the commonly spoken languages within our student body and district. Some of those translation options for school board meetings such as this, announcements, social media, parent-family interviews, especially the important ones about school closures, and our YouTube school board meetings. Would love to see some subtitles, different languages, something. Alhambra Elementary School District's vision statement indicates that our measure of success will be students who advance with creative development, international awareness, and academic preparation to meet the demands of high school and beyond. And yet, at our last public hearing on school closures, we heard from some awesome, proud alum of Valencia who are now at Brophy, ASU, and more. That is a testament to the success of Valencia. Just quick other things. With the declining enrollment, we have an opportunity We have an opportunity to provide access to our families. We have an opportunity to better align. We have an opportunity to look for some solutions. You are facing a difficult decision, 100%, but they're still knocking on doors. There's still ways to be competitive, and just communicate with your families. And also Phoenix Union did provide some virtual learning opportunities. I was just wondering if we would consider some alternative solutions with everything going on. Thank you for your time. Thank you, and I look forward to what's to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Maldonado Castro. We will now have Mr. Gamino speak on the public comment that was submitted online.
Good evening, President Navarez, Dr. Maez, members of the governing board. I am reading this on behalf of Senator Flavio Bravo of Legislative District 26. President Navarez, Dr. Superintendent Maez, and members of the governing board, I apologize that I can't be there this evening to offer public comment in person, but I wanted to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to the teachers, staff, administrators, as well as the students and families of the Alhambra Elementary School District, as you consider the potential closures of Valencia Newcomer School and Choice Learning Academy. I write to you not only as a proud state senator for Arizona's 26th legislative district, and as a member of the Arizona Senate Education Committee, but as a neighbor who lives within the Alhambra community. As you weigh your decision, I would like to share two memories specific to Valencia. Over the past 8 years, Valencia has broken barriers for refugees and newcomer families, and I'm grateful to have seen it firsthand. Beyond visiting with the students in the classroom in 2024, I had the privilege of co-chairing a legislative study committee on refugee workforce opportunities for the state of Arizona. What better place to host visitors from across our state from both urban and rural communities than at Valencia? In early 2025, in partnership with the International Rescue Committee of Phoenix, we returned to Valencia and hosted a community town hall so that refugee students and families could have a platform to share their voice and uplift their concerns for events occurring across the state and nationwide. We welcomed the Arizona's Governor's Office and the Arizona Office of Refugee Resettlement, as well as U.S. Congresswoman Yasamin Ansari, Glendale City Councilmember Lupe Conchas, and Phoenix City Councilwoman Betty Guardado. At both of these events, we packed the gymnasium and showed the rest of the state not only how we embrace our differences, but also that through thoughtful preparation and collaboration, the families within the Alhambra community are resilient and here to stay. It is my profound belief that these community events did not just provide hope, but they also led to historic financial investments from both the state of Arizona and at the federal level to support refugees serving nonprofit organizations with housing and rental assistance in 2025. Thank you to Principal Lynette Wagner for your leadership, and thank you for all that you do for your service to the Alhambra community. Sincerely, Senator Flavio Bravo, Legislative District 26.
Thank you. And we have another online submission that I will be reading for you. Board President, board members, and Dr. Maez, I would like to take this moment to thank you for your service to the Alhambra Elementary School District. I am here to ask that you remember that you are representing the taxpayers and not your individual selves. It is very important that your community sees that you are united in working for the good of the district, which includes our students, families, and staff. Nothing is more disturbing than watching a board meeting where members is displaying conduct not in alignment with being a community leader. It sends a message that personal issues get in the way of the district. There is a reason that you are a board member, and because of that, you will need to be even more united to be able to make necessary decisions. I am also asking that you remember you have the 6th board member. You need to remember to respect your administrative assistant who does an amazing job. I do not know of any other district that is fortunate enough to have Dana. I don't know anyone in her position that is knowledgeable as she is on the board policies. Dana, thank you for everything that you do for Alhambra District. Kathleen O'Neill, France. All right, that's the conclusion of the public comments. We will be moving on to D, consent agenda. D1, approval of consent agenda items D2 to D9. I call for a motion that the governing board approve consent agenda items D2 through D9.
I move that the governing board accept agenda items D2 through D9.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Conchas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Consent agenda items passed. Sorry. Moving along to E, Business Department. E1, acceptance of the Alhambra School District number 68 audit reports for fiscal year 2024-2025. I call for a motion that the governing board accept the fiscal year 2024-2025 single audit report, annual comprehensive financial report, and audit compliance questionnaire.
I move that the governing board accept the recommendation to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 single audit report, annual comprehensive financial report, and audit compliance questionnaire.
Thank you, Mr. Ocampo. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. And it's going to be a roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Navarez, Mr. Solorio.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. E2 is the financial report that is available in your board packet. We also have Mr. Coppinger available to provide us a brief budget update.
Good evening, President Navarez, Governing Board, Dr. Maez, Alhambra staff, and Alhambra community. Tonight, I wanted to provide a brief high-level snapshot of where we are with our budget and key trends that we are seeing. Tuesday, January 20th, marked our 100th day of school for the 2025-2026 school year. As a reminder, our average daily membership is the main driver in our funding formula. ADM, as we usually call it, is closely tied to enrollment. So for the sake of ease of understanding, not dealing with the weights that were mentioned earlier, we're going to look at enrollment as an easy digestible number to see. So what we have here is the 100th day for the 25 school year, as well as the 26 school year now that it has passed. So you can see the change in enrollment for that first slide. So we see 514 at the 100th day. That's what we see. And obviously those are decreases over there. Certified staff, thank you, Human Resources Department, for providing that number for us. We see 81 as a decline along with that. In terms of new revenue we receive each year, you see just about a $2 million decrease is what we're anticipating. Just to be fully transparent, the 100th day, there are little pieces of data that get trued up throughout different districts and whatever through the year. So it's still our best guess, but knowing our enrollment in the 100th day, we have a pretty good idea at this point. And then as I know Ms. Conklin earlier in the year presented on our decreased funds coming from our federal funding and our title funds, that's about $640,000 less. So putting those together, with which we have other pots as well, but those are our big ones, you see about a $2.5 million decrease on revenue, just new incoming money from previous year. And I'm also just key consideration, I know it was brought up already. Some of this is all brought up in the public hearing, so you're hearing it twice if you stayed for both. But we do have the current consideration right now of the quoted $1.1 million increase in our employee benefits program that we're also navigating. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for the governing board?
Mr. President Navarez.
Yes, Mr. Contras.
Mr. Coppinger, as we talked about the ESSER funding and a lot of the funding that was put into the district, invested into the district during the pandemic, can you talk to us a little bit about where we're at in terms of that timeline and how we're using those resources or if they're completely gone? Thank you.
Sure. We're anticipating right about the end of this year, we should be depleted on the one-time funding that has rolled over. So that is why we're specifically focusing on revenue, because that's now where we're living in, back to what we get each year is what we're going to be spending.
President Navarez, Mr. Coffinger, so would it be safe to say that although these numbers, they do look very large, almost 2 million, plus the different numbers that we talked about, 6 million, because of the 514 decline in enrollment, could we say that we're not in as bad of a situation as it seems on this slide, because we've planned for scaling down? Is that correct?
If you look at this current year, yes, I would agree with that exactly. But basically what the picture that we're seeing right now, when we look at this snapshot of the 100th day, is that we, as Dr. Maya has alluded to earlier, that 5.6 decline in enrollment, that is where we're at now, and we're dealing with current year funding. So that is what we have to make sure we navigate as we move forward to next year.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I don't have a question, just a comment. Thank you to you and your team for constantly staying on top of this and presenting reports that are somewhat readable. I have enough trouble with my checkbook, but which who has a checkbook anymore? But but thank you for always bringing us these reports and explaining them to us.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to my team.
Thank you. Moving to F, Human Resources. F1, Support Staff Evaluation Process. Ms. Cecilia Hernandez will be giving us an overview of the support staff evaluation procedures.
Good evening, Governing Board President Navarez, Governing Board members, and Superintendent Dr. Mize. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief update on our support staff evaluation process. Support staff are essential to the daily success of our schools, and it is important that evaluations are fair, consistent, and focused on growth. In alignment with Board Policy GDO, new or reassigned staff are evaluated after 3 months and again at the end of their first year. After 1 year in the same role, all support staff are evaluated at least annually. The evaluation assesses key areas such as attendance, cooperation, initiative, job knowledge, planning, and stability under pressure. Evaluations are submitted through our centralized HR process, with school leaders able to track completion and HR providing ongoing template and support. Thank you for your continued commitment to accountability, professional growth for all employees. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the governing board or comments?
When does this evaluation process go into place?
If it is a brand new hire or an employee transferred to a new position, it is within 3 months is the first evaluation.
Okay, and is this what we're currently using, or this is what's going to be implemented starting in July?
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. No, this is what we're currently using.
Okay, I wasn't clear on that. Again, I appreciate the hard work that it takes to put this together. And one of the things I would like about it is in the rating scale rubric, you've spelled out under each indicator what the expectations are to achieve the score in that area. So thanks for that specificity. And again, thanks for putting all of this together.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're moving on to G, new business. G1, board consideration of district restructure ARS 15-341A32. And I'm going to go ahead and read part of the description. Administration recommends that the governing board consider the closure of Valencia Newcomer School prior to the start of 2026-2027 school year. Administration is recommending that the closure of the Valencia Newcomer School with the intent of with the intent to continue to support newcomer students. AESD will integrate newcomer programming into each of the AESD sites, English language learner and family engagement support, beginning in the 2026-2027 school year. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the closure of Valencia Newcomer School prior to the start of the 2026-2027 school year.
I move that the governing board approve the closure of Valencia Newcomer School prior to the start of the 2026-2027 school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Now for any comments or discussion.
I'll reserve most of my comments for the next motion.
I'll make some comments. It's with a heavy heart that this motion is being made. We have seen and heard over the past few weeks in meetings and had examples of the success that Valencia has brought to the students and the families in our district. It was something that was definitely needed at the time, probably still needed. But in this time, in this neighborhood, we do not have the capacity to support the program that we had there. That doesn't mean that all that work is going in vain, being done in vain. We are going to keep the key parts of that program that brought success to our families and our students, and we're going to do our very best to implement those at the sites that will now have the students that need that kind of programming. So as much as it hasn't really brought tears to my eyes yet, it is with a very heavy heart that I approve of this motion. Thank you. And thanks to all the staff that worked so hard to make that school a success. Because as we all learned from what we heard from the people that made presentations over the last few weeks, it isn't just about the teaching and the learning, it's about the caring. And that was one of the strong components that came through from Valencia.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Any other comments?
Yes, President Navarez. I remember being a new board member in my first year, and I set up a meeting to do my first school visit at Valencia Newcomer School. And just seeing all the flags line the entryway was just very welcoming. It showed the diversity of our community. It showed the pride that we have in our community and not shying away from ensuring that everyone is respected and valued. And Principal Wagner is an exceptional leader, community leader, and also a caretaker for not only our community, but for the entire state of Arizona. And so I remember having that town hall, the refugee town hall in the gymnasium last year in June. And I remember hearing the stories of folks and their everyday struggles. And I know that Principal Wagner has gone above and beyond for the community at the Newcomer School. And so I want to thank all of the staff there, and thank all of the parents, and also thank all of the students for being vulnerable with us and for learning and growing. And it's really great to see that they're off doing amazing things. My hope for the future is that one day we will have a need for another Valencia Newcomer School. We will have policies in this country that allow for people who are fleeing tumultuous countries or unstable governments, that they'll be able to find a home here and be able to establish their families and go to a public school and have the support and the love, just like the Valencia Newcomer School. And the good thing is that we've done it once, and when that need comes up again, we'll know how to do it again. That's what Alhambra does, is we continue to stay ready for whatever comes our way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conchas. Just say a few words as well. So that I can tell that there's a lot of emotion in this room, and many of us probably don't, or certainly don't want to close the school. This moment is heartbreaking, and the impact that it has on our families, the refugee community, immigrant students, not just to adjust to the new school, but to the country and just create a home here, right? But we also know our current landscape, and so that's why it's a difficult decision to make. But I do want the district to continue to focus on improving the systems that we've gained from Valencia and to implement them confidently at our school sites. I think that'll give the community some peace of mind to know that we're gonna continue moving strong if of course we move forward in that direction. That's kind of what I have to say for now. And I believe this will be roll call vote as well. Yeah, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas. Ms. De Ocampo. Mr. Navarez. Mr. Solorio.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving to G2, Board Considerations of District Restructure, ARS 15-341A32. Administration recommends that the Governing Board consider the closure repurpose of Choice Learning Academy, CLA, prior to the start of the 2026-2027 school year. Administration is recommending consolidation of CLA and Westwood beginning the 2026-2027 school year. The closure and repurpose of CLA will not create a boundary change for students, families that live within the CLA Westwood attendance area. Westwood Elementary School will be reconfigured to a pre-K through 8 neighborhood school site with approval, CLA facility will house the following: Family Resource Center, Administrative Learning Center, Alternative Learning Center, AESD Health Services, and AESD Staff Training and Professional Development Spaces. I call for a motion that the Governing Board approve the closure repurpose of Choice Learning Academy, CLA, prior to the start of the 2026-2027 school year.
I move that the Governing Board approve the closure repurpose of Choice Learning Academy prior to the start of the 2026-2027 school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? With no second, we will not carry on this vote.
Is it too late? I'll second it.
Do I call? Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn? We have Mr. Solorio, and then do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Now for discussion and comments.
Yeah, I'll kind of talk about both motions at once, but essentially, yeah, 27 years is how long I've lived in the Alhambra School District. I attended these schools. I am who I am today because of the school district. I'm a licensed architect, and my first time being exposed to an architect was through the gifted program at Granada Primary, or at least what it was called at the time. You know, it was just a great place to be. It was a great place to learn. And also, my wife went to Simpson, so she went here in this very campus. And I had a very, very loving and stable family. Unfortunately, she didn't. And the amount she loved this place, this specific school, and the stability and the amount of care and attention that she got there, allowed her to be successful, eventually getting her 2 college degrees, which is, amazing considering all she overcame. And one of the gifts that we got from Valencia was a notebook of stories. It's something that I still have with me. And there's a lot of stories that are very similar to my wife's story. It's a lot of instability, a lot of trauma, and the district really does provide such a valuable service that goes beyond what you can calculate, beyond test scores, in terms of like really changing people's lives. And because I'm an architect, one of the things I wanted to do with the school was help work with the school district to make sure we were making wise decisions with our facilities. And through that process, I worked with Mandy, with Daniel, with Matt over the course of the last 1.5 years to have this discussion of like, how do we right size our facilities? And I was also like a vehement hater of our portable classrooms and just how awful they were when I was a student there. And, as part of the gifted program, I got to go to, I was in portables at Westwood. I was in portables in Sevilla. I spent too much time in portables, and our teachers spent too much time in portables too. And so did our students. And I was like, we got to get rid of these things. And then, so, it became apparent because I attended the school district between 1999 and 2004, as, our classrooms were bursting at the seams, and we couldn't keep up with the growth we had, and we peaked in 2006. And then when I joined the board, it was in 2019, we had already declined from our peak by 3,000 students. And since then, in the 7 years I've been in service, we've declined 4,000 more. So 7,000 students in the time from our peak in 2006 till today. And part of the question that I was trying to drive is like, hey, there's lots of decisions to be made to right size our district to our current population. It costs a lot of money to have space conditioned, running out, like all of these things. You got to clean them. The list goes on. And I was really pushing for us to ensure that we were right sizing it so we can minimize maintenance costs and kind of make sure the money's going in the right places. Because our state sure as heck isn't going to step up. So a lot of that responsibility falls on us to make those smart decisions. And through that process, it became really apparent that this decision was imminent, and it was either going to come to us today or it's going to fall on the shoulders of someone in a year. And then if we don't make a choice today, we're just pushing it off to next year. And if we continue pushing off, we're going to be in the same place that some of our peer school districts are with, them in receivership, because, a big portion of our job is being fiduciary agents to the school district. And this is a tough choice. It's a tough decision, but like we have to hold ourselves accountable to that, because the status quo is extremely dangerous. Maintaining as we have been going is going to hurt everyone, and we know it is. And it may seem like the easier choice is, or the most expedient thing would be to just continue it, but it's a difficult choice that needs to be made. It's the choice that ensures the health and longevity of the school districts, ensures that we are able to give our students as much attention as possible, keep our classroom sizes smaller, continue working on improving our campuses, and pushing this decision down the road, I think would ultimately be an immense mistake, and would set us back, it would set us back. And through this time, my 7 years in service, there was a demographic study done when I first joined. I had just joined the board. We had our first demographic study done, and it was pointing to this exact scenario. It said, hey, it's 2018. In 2025, this is where our district's going to be. And it has largely panned out exactly as the demographic survey in 2018 pointed out to be, or 2019. And we did one again. You want to refresh that. And when we did it again, it pointed to the same thing. There's larger demographic trends that are pushing these things. Largely there's been a huge decline in the amount of kids people are having, and the amount of kids, particularly in our neighborhoods, particularly this neighborhood. There isn't that many families with kids in this neighborhood. And what can you do? You can't manifest children out of nowhere. And there's obviously lots of bigger trends on why that's happening, but here we are. Like, this is a decision. It's not a decision I take lightly. It's not a decision I want to make, but it's a decision I feel like I have to make, because it's what's best for our school district. It's part of my responsibility. It's part of my duty. And this is a community that, even though I'll be rolling off at the end of the year, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna live here. I'm gonna continue my advocacy work. It will just be within the different capacities. I'll be here thick and thin. And it is very unfortunate to be in this position, but I want to just lay that all out there on as I, make my personal choice on what to do here and the rationale behind it. But this is very, very difficult. And I again have appreciated the way the district supported me, supported my wife, my siblings, my friends who I still keep in touch with, who, they all have college degrees and are doing these wonderful things in their career. And without this district, it wouldn't have happened. And we need to do what we can to make sure that we're able to continue to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Solorio. Any other comments?
I did not want to be the one that seconded that motion. This is my neighborhood school. I moved into this neighborhood in 1977. It has been my pleasure to walk by this school many times a week as I do my daily exercises. It's also been my source of joy to see classes walking down the light rail to take field trips. When a previous administration first came with the idea of changing the name, I was like, the whole neighborhood is named Simpson. That's our whole identity comes from this school. What's this about? There was no changing the opinion that was being made. Over the years, yes, many of us bought our houses back in 77, and we are not having any more kids. It's the facts of life. When we decided to open this academy, we had such a great vision. We had such a great idea. We worked hard to get staff that were going to be on board with it. We didn't know that a pandemic was going to come and just knock us off our feet. And that wasn't bad enough. Now we've got the current situations going on with, I don't even need to tell you, you know what they are. You know why our students aren't coming here. It's not because the staff isn't working hard. As a matter of fact, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to honor the staff at CLA who have worked diligently. I see your cars in the parking lot, not because I'm a nosy neighbor, but 23rd Avenue is a main traffic pattern around here. I've watched you be here late at night with games. I am proud of what you have done, the obstacles you fought through to get to where you are today. And because I know of your strength and your abilities as educators, I know you're going to take all of that with you to whatever the next site is going to be, depending on the vote tonight. And you will make sure that that B letter grade is seen again. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for what you have done for our community.
President Navarez, thank you very much to the entire Choice Learning Academy and the Simpson neighborhood community. I remember coming in as a new board member, and I remember it was Choice Learning Academy, and that was during the pandemic when everyone was online. And we had to bring everybody back into campus on April 15th of 2022, I believe, or 21. But this community is resilient. This community has gone through so many things, so many changes from Simpson Middle School to Choice Learning Academy, and also from changing grades back and forth between 5th grade and 4th grade. And so I want to tell you that I understand that there's a sentiment from some folks, and I actually believe it, that this campus sometimes was seen as neglected, or this community was seen as neglected, or this community has been seen as neglected. But we tried to put money into it. We put new science labs, put new theater, put new everything. But unfortunately, the students and the enrollment didn't come. And so I just want to honor all of the work that the CLA staff has done. Also, I had hoped that we would be able to carry over that B letter grade. in this consolidation. And it sounds like that's not going to happen, but just as Mr. De Ocampo said, you all can make that happen again. And the reality and the reason why I don't want to support this, but I am going to, is because we are in a financial shortfall. And it's my responsibility and my oath to the community of Alhambra Elementary School District, especially the taxpayers, to ensure that we are fiscally responsible and that to ensure that the programs and the quality of service, and more importantly, that the pay for our staff and for our classified staff, certified, that is not affected. That is my number one concern. And so although I do not want to support this, I see that we're in this beautiful auditorium performance center here. And to think that this isn't going to be available to the students as much as it was before, it really hurts my heart. But when I heard that the healthcare insurance is projected for fiscal year 27, an increase of $1,134,078, that's concerning. And I've been working on this board to ensure that we have quality healthcare for our and benefits for our employees. And so that's why I'm going to move forward with this, even though I don't want to. It's because I want to look out for everybody, because like I said before, we are a team and we can't leave anybody behind. And we hope that we can support the CLA staff as they, if they make this transition with the board vote after tonight, and that we continue to hold them and to lift them up and to celebrate them, but also the parents and all the teachers and all the students. Thank you for your trust, and let's continue shaping the future of Alhambra together. Thank you.
I'll just say a few words as well. As resilient as some of us are, it comes with maybe being stubborn, and for me that comes out as like I want to fight until the very end. So for the longest time I was feeling like there's something more that we can do. There's something we can do. I'm sure we can build partners. I'm sure we can find the students, and the district is doing great things to help combat that. We have our new student recruitment director. The district is addressing the systems in our office teams. A lot of great things happening. But when we look honestly at the district's findings, our families, what they're saying about the K-8 model, the reality of that our students live on the Westwood side, that can also help with this. It's come more clear that we're going to have to listen more on our enrollment data for this decision, right? And compared to our neighboring districts, Alhambra is fortunate in a way, although this decision is still incredibly difficult, that we're combining the schools that are in the same boundaries. And whereas other schools, they're really trying to figure out what to do. Other districts trying to figure out what to do. So although we're fortunate this time, it's something that I still worry about, that we may not be fortunate the next time. Like Mr. Solorio said, there might be other factors that really catch us in the start of a new year, that we'll have to make another decision. And I don't think that's something we're up against right now. I think it feels pretty honest about this is the circumstances we're at with CLA. But I like that the district is continuing to put some efforts, create better systems so we can bring these students back. And that is ultimately my hope. And for me, a vote for a yes doesn't mean I support school closures. It's a vote that I protect student experiences. It's a vote that I want to keep the district financially strong. And it's a vote that I want to help families meet families where they're at and help plan responsibly for the future. So with that, I am going to be voting to help repurpose the Choice Learning Academy. All right. Yes, Mr. Contreras.
President Navarez, I just have a clarification question, because you had read the approval, the other information that's provided in the agenda about the Family Resource Center, the Alternative Learning Center, Health Services, AID, ASD staff, and professional development. So my concern, or my question is, are we also voting on those things as well, or is this a narrow scope in terms of closing the entity?
And I'll partly answer it. To my understanding, it's just for the entity, and I had believed that these were considerations for the future, but Dr. Myers would like to add more.
Thank you, President Amaris, Vice President Conchas, Governing Board. It's for the immediate future. So knowing that our community didn't want the facility vacated immediately. So in the immediate future, that would be the plan. And then and then we'd problem solve and get a committee together and think about what we want to do long-term with the facility.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, this will also be a roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo, Mr. Navarez, Mr. Solorio.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We will be moving on to H, comments and communication. H1, comments from the governing board members. Hearing none. Moving to H2, comments from the superintendent and executive team.
Good evening. Thank you again, President Navarez and governing board community. I want to begin this evening's comments, and I first want to acknowledge the real sense of grief that many in our Valencia community may be feeling tonight. Valencia, as stated, is more than a building. It's a place of belonging, courage, of first beginnings for so many children. Was their first introduction to American schools, and it carries beautiful memories for so many. Because of our team's extraordinary dedication, and as mentioned, under the amazing leadership of Miss Lynette Wegner, students did not walk into a new system where they were welcomed. They were welcomed into a community where they were honored for their languages, their cultures, and their stories. And Valencia was a safe landing place, thoughtfully created to help students, staff navigate a new country with confidence and hope. And I'm thankful for the governing board and your thoughtful consideration that went into all the work that went into this recommendation. And I want our Valencia team to know how thankful we are for your hard work. And we're thankful that our culture, that we know that your work will be sustained in all of our schools. And so again, I just want to emphasize that I know the sadness in the room, yet at the same time, I'm thankful for the support. On the seats this evening, we have bracelets that say Alhambra Strong. And that's, again, it's tough times right now where these are tough decisions. And again, I appreciate the support and that we're a family and we're stronger together. And so again, I just want to acknowledge that and thank you and appreciate your support and your loyalty to the district. Same goes for Choice Learning Academy. I know there's rich, deep history and Governing Board Member Solorio, I appreciate hearing about how it's even impacted your family. And again, here as well, CLA is more than a building. It's history, a culture, a community built through years of dedication and care. Many of families that I've spoken to whose children are here because they came here and have great memories at Choice at Simpson, as mentioned by Governing Board Member De Ocampo. And so again, I want to say out loud that it's okay to feel the loss, and we feel it too, even though we look forward to the future, the bright future ahead together as we navigate these times. And so again, I want to thank the Governing Board for the decision in relationship to CLA too, because I know it's a hard one. I want to thank the staff. I appreciate everyone's acknowledgement of the hard work of the staff. And so we're committed to caring for you along the way we know these are very difficult times. I want to mention that again, uniting two communities, which is what we will be doing, requires skilled and steady leadership. And I want to share publicly now that I'm very grateful, very humbled, very honored to share that Ms. Bunch will be the leader through this process, to be the leader at Westwood as the principal. And so again, to the CLA and Westwood staff, I want to share how much we appreciate your dedication, your care for students, and you are the foundation for what comes next. And so together with compassion and shared commitment, we will honor where we've been and we'll move forward with purpose and with hope. So I want to thank you all again. And then
All right, our next, Mrs. Bilyeu.
Thank you, President Navarez, members of the board, and Dr. Myers. I appreciate all the words. It has been a hard decision. I do want to share a bright spot because that's what we do in Alhambra. So I want to recognize an outstanding example of cross-departmental collaboration between our transportation department, our exceptional student services department, and the JWR Cares team. We know that the classroom extends far beyond the four walls where instruction happens every day, and every environment our students enter is an extension of their learning experience. That is especially true for our students with disabilities, where consistency, expectations, and adult understanding matter deeply. I'm incredibly proud of Mr. Dennis, our bus driver, Miss Martha, his bus assistant, Vanessa, our transportation director, Miss Brem, our ESS director, and the entire JWR Cares team for their work in developing a training program to better support our Cares students in having a successful bus ride each day. We recently concluded our first training session where the reflections shared by our transportation team were powerful. Mr. Dennis expressed that every bus driver should receive this type of training. It was also evident that Miss Martha brings an enormous heart and commitment to the students she serves. A special recognition goes out to Dr. Kaiser for leading this pilot initiative, dedicating significant time to developing materials and delivering the training. And I also want to acknowledge Ms. Pineda, the dynamic classroom teacher we have the opportunity to observe. She holds exceptionally high expectations for her students with autism. And when our transportation team observed those students confidently reading aloud and answering comprehension questions, there was visible pride in the room. It was a powerful reminder of how capable and intelligent our students are. It was truly a great day and another strong example of what happens when Alhambra works together with a shared focus on students.
Thank you. Good evening, President Navarez, governing board members, Dr. Myers, and our Alhambra community. Like Ms. Bilyeu said, it is a difficult evening. And I remember fondly my daughter coming here in the summers and playing here in the multipurpose room when her dad was working here. So she loved being here in the summers with the Simpson kids and just being here. I would like to, of course, share some wonderful information for our employees. This evening, I want to share another Save the Date that's coming up in just less than 3 weeks on March 4th, Wednesday. It'll be our Alhambra Wellness Day. This year, we are expanding the event to a full day of wellness. The day will begin with our morning biometric screenings while you're still fasted from your morning, from 6 to 11 a.m. at the district office. You can go get your biometric screenings, get all that wonderful health information for you. And then in the afternoon, our wellness fair will be from 2 to 4:30 in the Sevillas, at the multipurpose room there. Staff should watch for additional information in the coming weeks. And those for like to secure those biometrics appointments, you'll be able to register there in the link. We did share an email earlier from Mr. Carlos Sepulveda, so please look for that. And once again, we're really proud to continue prioritizing our employee wellness and look forward to a strong turnout on March 4th.
Thank you, President Nevares, governing board members, Superintendent Dr. Mayes. With your approval tonight, we are appreciative to share that we are adding Zarpath Health Services to our list of providers that will enhance student access to behavioral health services at Alhambra school sites. Services provided may include intake assessments, group services, individual and family therapy, and behavior coaching for eligible students. We're adding to a list that already includes Touchstone Services, Confianza Health, and Resilience Behavioral Health. These partnerships are largely due to the relationships of Kristen Merkel, one of our lead counselor and social workers, and the positive relationship she builds with these partners in these organizations. And it's supporting the incredible work our counselors and social workers are doing every day. I'd also like to celebrate that yesterday we had over 20 vaccinations given. They might be not very happy, but we were happy that we were able to provide the vaccinations with our vaccination clinic and with the support of 8 student nurses through our ASU College of Nursing partnership. So thank you.
Board President Nevadas, Governing Board Dr. Mays, and the Alhambra community. We would like to celebrate Brian Pendle, STEM teacher at CLA, who was selected for the Teacher Innovator Institute through the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum from a highly competitive pool of more than 200 applicants. This is a 2-year program that brings together 80 educators from across the nation for an intensive 2-week experience in Washington, D.C. Throughout the year, the work is continued through monthly professional developments, national conferences, and access to grants that directly support and expand STEM programming. Expenses are mostly paid by the museum. So congratulations, Brian Pendle. We are also proud to celebrate our students' outstanding performance at the Regional Spelling Bee, a rigorous academic competition that brings together top spellers from schools across the region. Congratulations to Carissa Chong, 8th grader from ATS, who earned runner-up, and Vincent Barrientos Martinez, 8th grader from Madrid Neighborhood School, who placed 4th. A wonderful achievement that reflects their dedication, perseverance, and academic excellence. Our last recognition, we are proud to recognize our outstanding educators who have earned National Board Certification, one of the highest honors in the teaching profession. Congratulations to Ms. Begay at Granada West on earning her National Board Certification, and to Ms. Green at Sevilla West on maintaining her National Board Certification. Their dedication, expertise, and commitment to excellence have a powerful impact on our students, colleagues, and our entire school community. We celebrate their hard work and leadership in education.
Thank you. And we're moving on to H3, Governing Board Direction and/or agenda item requests.
President Navarez?
Yes.
In public comment today, we heard about accessibility of language in our governing board meetings. So I would like the board to explore different opportunities to translate or to provide these meetings in different languages so that more of our community can be interactive and understand what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, or sorry, board direction or agenda item requests? All right, hearing none. Moving to meeting closing. I1, next governing board. There will be a special governing board meeting March 5th at 5 o'clock for any considerations for the potential nominations for the governing board vacancy. Just a reminder that that closes on February 23rd. So if you know somebody in the community who loves students like we do, encourage them to apply. The next regular meeting of the governing board will be held the same day at 6 o'clock at the district office. I2, calendar of events, February 16th, the district office will be closed for President's Day, and March 4th is the Wellness Fair from 2 to 4:30 at Sevilla Multipurpose Room. I3, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Conchas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.